Why would you have to lower standards?
Well, because...
Are you saying that black people are inherently inferior?
I'm saying the opposite. I'm saying that, A, black people are only 13% of the population, so you want 13% of the population...
Women are not 13% of the population. Women are 50% of the population.
Yeah, but women do not make up a majority of people that want to become pilots. In fact, the vast majority of women don't want to be pilots.
Maybe they would want to become pilots if the barriers for entry weren't...
See, now we're going down a different but equally fun direction, which is male-female differences. Men much more likely want to be involved in heavy machinery mechanics. They want to be pilots. They want to be tank operators. They want to be police officers. Whereas women much more likely want to be, I'll get to you, Mason. Don't worry, and I remember your name.
Yes, can Mason go? They won't let him go.
I'll let Mason go. I'll let Mason go. But just Mason has some patience. We did this last time, okay? But do you understand, at least from our perspective, because it's no good for us to go back and forth again, maybe from our perspective, that we worry that the pursuit of diversity can mean the compromising of excellence.
Charlie Kirk, this country is diverse. You can't just say the pursuit of diversity is compromising excellence. Diversity literally just means difference. This country is 13% black. It's 14% immigrant. It's 1/5 of every person in this country is Hispanic.
All right, I want to stop it right there. And first and foremost, I want to give all the praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Harakakodash. Double honors to the true apostles of the great millstone who rule well and teach well. It's Brother Howard Shai Zion. Now, she got a point that this country is diverse. That's for sure. This place is definitely a melting pot of ideals, which ultimately is confusion. Okay, there shouldn't be these many people in different religions and ethnicities all in one area. It sparks madness and confusion. The Lord's not the author of confusion, so we shouldn't be operating like that. That's number one. Number two, she said 14% immigrant, as to imply that the so-called white man was just here already. No, listen, man. America was founded on bloodshed and destruction of the so-called Native Americans, all right? The tribe of Gad that was already here long before the so-called white man, all right? Centuries before the so-called white man was here, all right? From around about like the 8th century or 7th century, should I say, all the way to now. Or excuse me, all the way to the 14th century, okay? So around about 700 years before Christopher Columbus came over here and started enslaving people and killing people. So I just wanted to, make that known, okay? Let's keep going.
It's 7% homosexual, and 50% of the country disagrees with you.
And you shouldn't have any homosexuals in a righteous kingdom. So what the hell are these people even debating and talking about? You see, the whole political landscape of America is completely useless. If you knew the scriptures, you wouldn't even sit here and deal with this type of shit. It's just a futile effort for clout, social media likes, and ultimately cost this guy his life because somebody didn't like some of the shit that he said. And you're not even doing the work of the Lord. It's like, man, at least die for the Lord, man. You know what I mean? At least die for the Lord's sake. And this guy's actually a decent talker. You know what I mean? You almost kind of like some of the stuff. I like some of the stuff he says. But I'll say this, man, he just doesn't know the real truth. And people who are not speaking the whole truth, they speaking a whole lie, okay?
Diversity is America. You cannot say
all of that is true.
That you are America first if you do not care about half of America.
I care about them so much, in fact.
You care about them so much that you don't want to give them
I didn't interrupt you.
Access to equal rights.
Well, hold on. No one said rights. Hold on a second. No.
Well, there shouldn't be equal rights in America because ultimately, guess what? We're anywhere. Because the woman is the head of the man is the head of the woman. And really in America, the woman is the head of the man. Let's keep it real. All right. These women run the show, out here in America with their sexual prowess. That's why this place has absolutely got to go. Okay. We got to make things great again, which we should have our own hats. You know what I'm saying? Regarding that slogan, I can't think of one right now off the top. But, we gonna make the kingdom of heaven great, or really, should I say the kingdom of Israel great again, man. Make the kingdom of Israel great again, man. All right, see, I just dropped one just now. But anyway, keep going. We're not equal, is what I'm trying to say.
care about
It
them.
is. It's equal rights. It's
Naima,
equal
let me
access.
finish. Let me finish.
It
No.
can't be equal rights, because if we could do something better than you, we should get the position every single time. It's too bad for you. All right. Isn't this a capitalist society? And if the man can capitalize on that opportunity to beat you because you're just not up to snuff, I mean, it is what it is. You women need to be at home, ultimately God in the house, taking care of the house, cleaning and cooking, and making sure things are prepared for your husband and your family. How could you do both? How could you go and be a career woman and take care of your family at the same time? You see, you've been tricked. You people in these universities are going there to basically usurp authority over your man. That's the reason why they send these women to these colleges, so that they can make a lot of money, and the money ultimately is going to be their God, not their man. Your man's supposed to be your head, not money.
Who's interrupting who? I care about them so much. I want the only thing that they're ever judged on is to be their character or their competency, not their skin color.
Okay, so you want it to be a meritocracy. You want it to
Yes.
be so let's talk about a meritocracy.
Okay.
What experience does Kash Patel have to run the FBI?
He has amazing experience.
No,
In
he
fact,
doesn't. He wanted to start a UFC fighting
he has
program in the
amazing
FBI.
experience. I got 5 words in. He was the most important thing. He was a public defender.
That's not what that's not the job of the FBI. He has no experience in the FBI.
He was a public defender and he was a special prosecutor.
Was he ever a member of the FBI?
No, but
He doesn't have the merit to have that.
Hold on a
All
second.
right, let's do another example.
Depends on what you judge the merit on. And yeah, I don't think that guy's qualified at all. He's a pawn for some particular reason. I'm not sure if they want to, promote him and then do some type of embarrassment on him. Who knows? But he's getting grilled in Congress right now, as not as I speak, but he was earlier today.
I'm not
does
done.
Linda McMahon?
I'm not
what
done.
experience does Linda McMahon have to run?
She ran the
Department of
Small
Education?
Business Administration in the first term, which is a big organization. She was the head of the SBA.
When she was the CEO of
No, hold on.
WWE,
I'm not even talking about that. She ran the SBA. By
one
the way,
of her employees was engaging in pedophilic behavior with their ring boys under her watch.
I'm not going to defend that.
And now she
but
is somehow qualified to be responsible for all of America's children?
Hold on a second. She was
First off, that shit has nothing to do with her too. Well, this is all irrelevant. Women don't need to be in power, and that's it. That's really what he should say. But when you're at these college campuses, you can't really tell the truth like that. Imagine he said, well, the woman's not supposed to usurp authority over the man. She's supposed to be in silence. Okay? And why are you even talking over me like that? That's a sin, man. Okay? That's a sin according to the scriptures. You're not supposed to be talking over no damn man. You transgressing the law. You're not showing a love unto your neighbor as you love yourself. You're not loving the Lord thy power with all thy heart, all thy might, and mind, and all thy strength. You ain't doing none of that. You're supposed to obey the scriptures. You're supposed to fear the Lord, man. All right? And not to usurp authority over the man. Okay? But to be in silence. Remember, I suffer not a woman to teach, nor to usurp authority over the man. That means so he don't allow you to usurp authority over the man. Who the hell do you think you are? Just sitting there butting in, talking over this man. You see, this is what they teach in the colleges and the schools. And it's kind of good that the guy was bringing out all of these spirits to show them on display so that ultimately we could do these videos. All of this stuff is for the edification of the saints, which are only of the nation of Israel, of the elect. All right? The children of Israel are the saints, but again, only the elect, the 1/3 of the nation of Israel, because the other 2/3 of the nation of Israel, they ain't acting like saints. All right? They're acting like heathens in a heathen state of mind, in a Gentile state of mind. That's why they were called the Gentiles. Okay? And the only ones that can be grafted in are the Israelite foreigners who were living amongst the Gentiles, who were called Gentiles by the Israelites who were keeping the customs. But they were Israelites nonetheless. And when they repented, then they can receive the salvation because it was ordained from the beginning. Okay?
previously a cabinet secretary and then became a different cabinet secretary. That's like a one-to-one.
Yeah, and then before that, she was enabling a pedophile.
So what you're first of all, I don't know about that instance.
That's a lot of emotional. See, a lot of women, when they make arguments to try to spark emotion. But men don't deal like that. We frankly don't give a shit about emotions. All right. A lot of women, and notice when you get into arguments with women, their main objective is to get you emotional so that they can communicate with you, because that's how they communicate. Or we create and communicate with logic, and they'll communicate with emotion. Okay. That's why a lot of times with your woman, you just got to basically, assert yourself in a certain manner, and, she'll be affectionate again. Okay. And that's it.
If that's true, that's wrong.
That's very much true. How do you not know about that, Charlie?
I don't know about
very much
Okay, again,
public information. It's really important to know
Great.
that the head of the...
And look at that stupid looking septum ring. There's another thing too. That does not look good on women whatsoever. Some women can get away with it, and it's barely noticeable. If it's a ring like she's got, if it was tighter to her face, they wouldn't be noticeable, wouldn't be as big of a deal. But that looks absolutely stupid. You women shouldn't be wearing no goddamn septum rings. And it's just weird looking and egregious, It's very unprofessional. I mean, how could you expect to get a job, like a real actual job, or present yourself to people in business? It's an embarrassment. And you should care about your appearance and your husband as well. This is the mind of the American woman, that they don't care. This is what they teach in the universities. And it's a sign of rebellion, too. That's a symbol of rebelliousness for these women. It's a fact.
The Department of Education is currently in a lawsuit.
But let me finish the point, which is that...
And let me say this, too. If we ran a poll, do men find septum rings attractive or classy? I bet you that in the 95% of men would say absolutely no. All right. 95% of men would say no. So I'm not sure why these women still do that. Just to be offensive, just to be a rebel, just to be a weirdo. You know what I mean? It's crazy, man.
WWE can be easily made fun of. That's a serious business, though. It's a multi-billion-dollar business.
It is, that engaged in pedophilic activities.
Of which I denounce. I don't support that. However, she was head of the SBA, and now she's head of the Department of Education. Tell me another unqualified person.
Another unqualified person?
Marco Rubio
Hegseth.
Okay.
No, actually, I think Marco is slightly more qualified.
Let's talk about Hegseth. He's the most qualified because he actually accepted enemy fire and lost loved ones and friends of his own.
That doesn't make you...
Hold on.
Dude,
to run the U.S. military, to be a warrior, not just an academic general, that's very important.
Look, dude, I respect veterans. My boyfriend's a veteran. I love veterans. That being said, not every person who is a veteran is qualified to run the Department of Defense.
I think he's also shown the last couple of weeks he's doing a pretty phenomenal job. The prior head of the DOD, Lloyd Austin, could barely climb up a flight of stairs. Pete Hegseth is up at 5 a.m. doing PT with the troops, running miles, and then doing an entire day at the Pentagon. And you might say that doesn't matter. I actually think physical fitness and being a good example to our troops is very important when you're the head of the Department of Defense.
Okay, but being the head of the Department of Defense is not about doing push-ups.
Hold on, but first of all, it's actually just refreshing versus Mark.
That's why there's a distinction between men and women, because women may think that that's not important, but men do, because that is important to training in multifaceted levels. Your physical fitness level is ultimately going to reflect your spirit. It's going to reflect your discipline. It shows a model of masculinity, which is required in order to have any type of defense system set up. And, it's good for the whole process. These women won't understand that. That's why the woman should never be the head of anything, and she should not be the head of the Department of Defense or none of that. There's no equal rights with that. The men should be running the military, going for the military, and that's it. There's no women in the military. Under any circumstance will women serve in the military. Absolutely not. That is fucking madness. That's the American spirit. See, they ultimately just feed you lines of bullshit and expect you to choke it down like it's mashed potatoes, man.
Milley and Lloyd Austin. But secondly, I will say the criteria is that he's a warrior's warrior. He's someone that was in the front lines and actually received medals and knows what it's like to lose loved ones. And the other people that were qualified, Naima, were people that got us in endless wars, people that never saw combat. I think it's finally time that we have someone in combat that runs the Secretary of Defense. I think that's immensely qualified.
Okay, sure. So we'll take Pete Hegseth for Department of Defense.
Yes, he's doing a great job.
We'll take someone who enabled pedophilia for the Department of Education.
That's an unfair
We'll take Kash Patel,
categorization.
who has never worked in the FBI.
Enabled pedophilia is a stretch. That is slanderous. That is bullshit. You know that Linda McMahon wouldn't stand for that bullshit. See, this is the goddamn devil right here, man. These women at these universities are just vile creatures, man. This is why the Lord is not dealing. First off, knowledge is not universal. All right, like the ISUPK, the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. Well, listen, the knowledge of the Lord is not universal, and not everybody could catch on to it. It's only for the elect of the nation of Israel. How the hell is that universal? It's not universal, man. It's exclusive. It should be the Israelite School of Exclusive Practical Knowledge. You know, it's all good, man. You know, that's why we don't ascribe to that. We don't need these women, like I said, man, just need to be in line. Just be quiet, be silent. Go bake some cookies or whatever for your man. You got a man, right? You call him your boyfriend. Where's a boyfriend in the scriptures? You see? That's why you don't need no stupid pagan wedding rings either, or no slips of paper so the so-called white man can put you in jail when you fight with your woman. He'll show up to the house with his police and he'll put you both in jail. And then you got to bail out. And see, it's all a money grab, everything. You know, the divorce settlements, all of that shit. They get a cut of everything. Alimony, palimony, they get a cut. You know what I mean? The child supports, they get a cut. They get everything. It's all a fucking business, man. Why fight for this place? Why would you fight for this place? Why would you argue for this place? You know, only people who lack the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, you know? That's these people at these so-called universities with their politics and their infighting and rebellion is universal, okay? But the knowledge of the Lord, that's exclusive, and that's only for the elect of the nation of Israel. Sorry for you. Sorry, Charlie. You know, like that show. You know, there's no way that you're going to be able to have knowledge be exclusive. And women, they're definitely not going to get it. All right? And that's not about being a woman hater. It's about being a factual, credible person. See, when you speak credibly and respectfully in the spirit, see, these people don't understand it. And I'm talking about respectful unto the Lord. You see? And you're not supposed to respect the person of the poor, nor honor the person of the mighty, but in righteousness shalt thou judge thy neighbor. That's Leviticus 19:15. So when we say, look, man, this lady ain't supposed to be talking, or, you know, women are not supposed to be cutting off men in the midst of their talk, and they shouldn't be running the defense and having an opinion over anything that's regarding defense of any countries. And this country shouldn't be a melting pot as well. You know, that's why the Lord's going to destroy it. All right? He's going to burn this place up with ICBM nuclear missiles, all right, from the other countries like Russia, Persia, which is Iran, okay, North Korea, China. They're all in league together. They're ready to go, man. That dude from Venezuela, he don't give a damn. He ready to get it cracking as well. He'll be right over here.
He was a prosecutor, so the FBI's a...
Dude, do you remember what he said when he first got the nomination?
Do you want to go back to Kash Patel for a second?
He said, yeah. I'm like, this is sick.
Okay,
that is an incredible thing to say. That is like insanely inappropriate.
Can we go back to Kash Patel? So...
She's one to talk about insanely inappropriate. Look at her stupid ass nose ring. All right? And that dreaded dead hair that she's got. It looks like it's dreadlocked hair. And how about her insanely inappropriate upper nose piercing at the top of the bridge of the nose? See, another unattractive, unintelligent, foolish, stupid, and dumb thing to do. But we're supposed to sit here and respect these people who make stupid, dumb, foolish decisions. And you try to usurp authority over the man and fight for argument's sake, which doesn't accomplish anything. You see, this is what's being taught at the universities. These group dynamics ultimately don't favor any cause. All they do is cause confliction, okay? The dynamics in these groups automatically draw away contention, or they draw contention to them by simply having too many damn dynamics in place, aka the melting pot of all these different spirits, philosophies, religions, and you can't put and commingle all those people together because all that confusion sparks anger. And when you're confused about something, you know, most people hate things they don't understand. So instead of trying to sit there and figure it out, like, the noblemen in Berea, when they were speaking to Paul, right? They react like the Thessalonica thugs, man, who were trying to kick Paul's ass and kill his ass, man. Instead of trying to debate or rather talk it out or speak and try to figure out what he was saying, they just try to kill his ass, man, put him to death. We could solve this problem real quick. The same thing that they did to Charlie Kirk. That's why this guy, he was making money and, doing a bunch of stuff, getting a lot of notoriety, probably was getting ready to run for public office and put himself in a great position. And, look, the Lord had other plans because, again, all of this shit is foolishness and madness. All right. These universities don't teach you shit but to be stupid. Tell me I'm lying.
He was himself a prosecutor.
And you know what, man? Any one of us brothers should be running the country. We should be the heads, okay? And Lord willing, we're of the elect. We're going to be the heads, man. All right? I would much rather trust Apostle Gabar or Apostle Tahar to be running all of these organizations out here. Putting out all these people in line. Everything would run properly, righteously. You know what I mean? It would all go together perfect. All the brothers, man, would understand everything. But obviously that's not, the time we're living in. This is not the time. This is not the kingdom to live in to try to make great again. We don't give a shit about it. We want it to be destroyed because of how it's too far gone, man. And this lady appears to possibly be an Israelite. She's wasting her time. She don't even realize she's in front of all those devils over there. Those so-called white people hate her ass, man. And behind her back, they call her nigga and shit, man, at the kitchen table. Well, why'd you bring this nigga over here? We don't want niggas in this house. Dad, chill. She's my friend. Trust me. All right? I've heard those conversations too, man.
That try cases. That's a law enforcement mechanism. I think they're asking for someone else.
All right.
Naima,
someone else, because she was actually, bringing up some type of valid points. At least she wasn't annoying and kept a rather pleasant spirit while she was talking to the guy, except for the interruptions. But you can appreciate this for dissecting it and just to basically show that America's a place that's just full of confusion, and that's why we got to get the hell up out of here, man. And definitely get the hell out of them schools, man. You're not going to learn nothing over there. You're just going to have a big-ass bill that you can't pay off, and along with the other rest of your bills that they keep increasing that you can't pay off. And you're going to be destroyed, ultimately depressed, and fight and just go down the rabbit hole until you're destroyed. If that's what the Lord has in store for you, that's what it is, man. So be it, man. Amen, right? All right, so with that, I'm going to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai Ba'Shem HaRakak Wadash. Lord willing, this was edifying. On to the next one.